And one step forward, two steps back. U.S.-China ties on the brink of breaking down yet again that the Chinese balloon controversy have prompted U.S. top diplomat Antony Blinken to postpone his trip to China.
The highly anticipated visit would have been the first by a U.S. Secretary of State in 5 years. It was seen as a move towards resetting ties between the two superpowers.
Well, for more, we are joined by Scott Kennedy, Senior Advisor and Trustee Chair in Chinese Business and Economics at the Center for Strategic and International Studies. Scott, firstly, how much diplomatic damage has this balloon saga inflicted on the already fraught ties between the U.S. and China? And are we expecting this episode to lead to greater tension?
Well, at a minimum, is going to delay the visit of the Secretary of State. They already had a full agenda of things to discuss. It could be that that window for his visit actually closes and that he doesn't get there, which would be a huge setback because there is so much for the U.S. and China to discuss, from Taiwan to many other topics. But let's hope that the visit can get rescheduled, that the Secretary of State can get to Beijing, and that this issue can be addressed in a way that meets U.S. national security needs as well.
Scott, Blinken was expected to be the first U.S. Secretary of State to visit China since 2018. It was to be a significant moment. China's top diplomat Wang Yi has called for calm over the balloon incident. Is that how you expected Beijing to react?
Well, they got caught with their hand in the cookie jar. I think the U.S. reports that this is an intelligence gathering balloon is accurate. It's part of a fleet of balloons. Another one is flying across South America right now. And I think what the U.S. decided is that they want to try and bring these intelligence gathering activities over our territory and those of others to an end. And therefore, they had to put their foot down and make a big fuss over this. Let's hope that the two sides can work that out and then also get the trip back on. It is very, very important because relations have been cratering, and we do need to build some stability in the relationship, which both sides need to be involved in doing, and the visit was going to be an important part of that process.
Speaking of the trip, Scott, do you think it was a right move for Mr. Blinken to postpone this meeting? Because some pundits say the U.S. could have taken advantage of the embarrassment with China having been caught red-handed, as it were, and that this could have given Washington some leverage to use it in some sensitive discussions. What's your thought?
I think it's a close call. It depends a little bit on what they find when they recover the balloon and the equipment. And they didn't know what was going to be on there and when he was going to arrive. And there's a fleet of them. And so hopefully the trip can be rescheduled and the two sides can resume discussions. And they will be able to have this be one of the issues. Crisis management, of which this counts as one, should be at the top of the agenda. Taiwan, South China Sea, many other potential ways in which we could end up in a conflict with the Chinese, and we need to make sure that we don't. And so eventually a trip needs to address that.
And China and the U.S. clash on a number of fronts. You alluded to Taiwan, there's trade as well, Russia, North Korea. Where do you see areas, though, of practical cooperation and common interest?
Your guess is as good as mine. Obviously, on climate and public health, the two sides have common interests in trying to surveil new pathogens, making sure that potential new pandemics don't go global, that we keep the carbon emissions low and the world from continuing to get hotter. Of course, we want to avoid wars as well. We want to make trade mutually beneficial. So there are a lot of things that we can talk about. The first thing is we got to sit down and get together and make meetings like this not so novel. They should be common, and there shouldn't be so much attention paid to whether or not they occur. And we need, at the staff level, much more regular communication than we currently have.
Would much of how things unfold from here depend on Beijing's next step?
I think yes. There's a few weeks between now and the National People's Congress in which the visit could be rescheduled. Uh, let's see if Beijing doesn't overreact to the American reaction. Let's also see how the Congress responds. I do think that there's a chance to fit a trip in before the National People's Congress, but if it doesn't come before then you have the possibility of House Speaker McCarthy's visit to Taiwan, perhaps that select committee wanting to go to Taiwan as well. And that would probably close the window to a constructive visit from the Secretary of State. So I think the question is, can we get something now between now and March 4th?
This controversy will further stir up the China threat theory in the American public. And indeed, many U.S. politicians, too, are calling for a tougher stance against China. How has this played out on China's side, though?
Well, I think the Chinese have gone to their regular playbook to just say that this is a weather balloon, that it just drifted off course, that we're making much ado about nothing. I don't think that is what the case is here. I think as you see more reporting and statements from the United States and others, this will be as the U.S. claimed. But both sides engage in intelligence gathering of the other through many different means. That's not a surprise, but there are rules of the road and how that should occur. And I think the U.S. is trying to clarify what those rules are now. And then we can get back to the business of diplomacy and trying to deal with long-term issues in the relationship on the security front, on human rights, and economics as well.
All right, Scott, we'll have to leave it there for now, but thank you very much for your input to this morning. Scott Kennedy from the Center for Strategic and International Studies.